Well, Chris Matthews says that they need to get the people out, and the people need to vote to beat the rural people's crazy cult. How about that? Okay. Hey, welcome to American Reversion. I'm Steve Smith. How are you all today? I hope you're well. I'm sorry that I missed you yesterday. It was a snow day. We got hit by that big snowmageddon, and it was fun. We were loaded, and the kids were out of school, and so we just did a lot of stuff around as a family, and time got away from me. I'm sorry. We're still snowed under. They're still out of school, but I'm back at it. And I was going through by the way, I should stop right here and say welcome to all the new people. We have a lot of new people joining. It's great to have you. If you're not with us on the Patreon channel, I'm putting a lot of stuff over there that you won't see here on YouTube, so we'd love to have you. The link is down below. And this is becoming our biggest seller. You can imagine why, right? Rebellion to tyrants is obedience to God. Yeah. So I'm going to spend the rest of my day is making sure the orders get out on these things. We're just snowed under. Thank you all. I'm glad that you like these mugs. They're going to be so helpful getting the word out, I think. Let me take a sip and we'll get going. And let me ask you if you could, and the new people, make sure that you're subscribed. Make sure that you hit the bell. They're jacking with all my channels because, well, we know why, right? Give it a thumbs up if you will. Leave a comment if you will, and make sure you're subscribed and share it. Share it. The more we get this out, and I've got something here. Chris Matthews has an important message for us. Chris Matthews, the moron. Yes, I know. Well, not you. You may think that I'm being facetious, a little bit. But I'm not. He is going to say something very important here that everyone should listen to. I know it's hard to believe, but it is. So, I'm going to start. Apparently he was on the Morning Joe and said that people have to get out and vote to beat the rural people out there voting their craziness about the cult. Well, it's not just the rural people, right? It's most of the suburban people and the city people that I know. Voting for what he considers to be a cult, and that's someone who actually wants to take our country back to the way it's supposed to be, or at least, more than the other side. Okay, let's start here. Anchor Mika Brzezinski, whose father was also an idiot. Remember Zbigniew Brzezinski. No, it doesn't matter. He said, Iowa's days away. And of course, they're talking about the Iowa primary. New Hampshire is coming up, and Donald Trump, given this conversation even, is the clear front runner. Well, he's telling some truth there, right? Trump is just beating Biden to death. Matthews said, I think President Biden gave a good speech on Friday. Boy, talk about a cult. I think he began the conversation about the Constitution and democracy. Well, see, here's the squishy way these libs talk. What do you mean, I think he began the conversation? He either did or he didn't, right? Okay. So I think he began the conversation about the Constitution and democracy. But I think he has to turn, again, he has to turn the corner and go to the next step. The reason we love our democracy, again, they use the term democracy instead of a republic because they're not smart enough to understand what a republic is, nor are most of the American people, sadly, and that's why they win, right? They understand. They're smarter than we are in that sense, that they understand how stupid the American voter is. And so they get up all about, well, democracy. When we try to explain it's a republic, people are not sure that they like that, right? Because it sounds too Republican. And they like Democrats because it sounds like democracy. We know that. The reason we all love it is if we don't like the government and they're doing something, we can do something about it. Well, ideally, yes. Used to be, right? I know there's room for argument in all of this. I get that. But we're coming to the part to where he's going to say something importante. He continued, you have to vote to protect your rights in the Constitution. Okay, here it begins. Chris Matthews. Chris Matthews is bringing an important, and I'm not being facetious, an important message. You have to vote to protect your rights in the Constitution. The Bill of Rights was put there by Jefferson and Madison because people said the Constitution and democracy is not enough. We have to write it here in our Bill of Rights. Right. Now, there's an argument about that, but that argument is over. There is a Bill of Rights, okay? So it doesn't do anybody any good. Says, well, it shouldn't have had to been a Bill of Rights. There is one, okay? Voters have to get out there and say, damn it, here's what he's saying, guys. Here's why they win. Now, you can say, well, they win because they cheat. I get that, okay? But like I said before, I used to tell my fighters that if you're losing on points, don't whine. If you lose a fight on points, that means you didn't beat up the other guy hard enough, okay? Because if you win by knockout or submission, it's over. You have to get out there. We can't be relying on these squeakers. I know. Last one was not a squeaker, Steve. Trump got more votes than anybody has ever gotten before in history, right? But we know. Okay? Just telling you. Here's what they're saying. We have to write in here our Bill of Rights. Voters have to get out there and say, damn it, if I'm a young person, a black person, if I'm out on the streets and I don't trust the cops, I have to vote that way. If I'm a woman and I want to protect myself and my decisions, I have to vote that way. Well, okay, obviously, according to the Democrat playbook, he's going after those groups who think they are marginalized. Actually, they're protected groups. You know, they are protected. They have so many more rights than the average American. It's unbelievable. But that's what they always go for. And those, too many, not all, too many in those groups respond to that. Okay? Who on our side is talking like that? Huh? Seriously, who? Okay, let's go on. Matthews added, I think voters have to take their hand in this election and don't wait for the government to do it. You know, this election is going to be close. That's right. It's going to be very close in places like Pennsylvania. And you'll have rural people out there, you rural people, you horrible rural people, right? You'll have rural people out there voting their craziness about the cult. I know what he's talking about because I tell you, as soon as you get about 10 miles east of the city, all you see is Trump signs, right? You hardly ever see any Biden signs anywhere. Well, you do. You see it over in Kansas City, Missouri. You see it in the really liberal areas, but hardly, ever. So you rural crazies out there voting your craziness about the cult, that cult about getting America back the way it's supposed to be. What a horrible thing. So you better be there to match them, he says. And you've got to be there to vote against that. I'm telling you, listen to him. He's talking to the wrong side, but he's right. I'm telling you, this is really important that you vote for your rights. Right. Chris Matthews is right. Okay, now, as much as I despise Chris Matthews, which is probably even more than most of you all do, we have to understand where we don't do a good job. If we talk about an American reversion, we talk about making America great again. We talk about the second time around making America great again, right? But if we're not doing what it takes to do that, all the slogans, all the wearing caps, all the T-shirts, all the talking in our echo chamber to our family and friends who all agree with this is not going to do a thing. This is why we have to take it out there. Our side does a poor job of evangelizing. Poor job. It's because, most of us aren't liars. And also we have this naive belief that most people can think. See? And that's a stretch. So many people can't think. So many people respond to these things emotionally. So many people can't reason. So many people don't understand the basic meaning of words like democracy and republic and these kinds of things. And unless somebody is out there trying to educate them and trying to take it to them, take it to their cult, they're not going to know. They're not going to know. So what do? Well, in the beginning of our country, we had a good number of people, of men, mostly men. Right off the top of my head, I can't think of any great quotes from any of the women. Doesn't mean there weren't some, just means that I can't bring it to mind. But for the most part, our founding fathers, the men who established this country. Okay. Now there are reams of books, of papers that they wrote with wonderful quotes in them. For instance, rebellion to tyrants is obedience to God. How about that? How many of us know that, right? How many of us know their names? How many of us know the names of those who wrote the Declaration of Independence, of Thomas Paine, of those who wrote the Constitution, of Nathan Hale, of all the founders, of George Washington and Ben Franklin and Madison and Monroe, all of them. We know them, right? Why do we know them? Let me ask you this. With the exception of Washington, how many military heroes can you name from the beginning of our country? Nathan Hale, How many? And yet, how many names of those that you can remember that we studied were not because they were involved in military action? They weren't the fighters. Who were they? They were the ones who promoted the idea of freedom, promoted the idea of a people governing themselves, a people not under the boot of corrupt government, right? Those are the people. Think of all the pamphlets. What did they do? The pamphleteers that were responsible for spreading the word among the general people. Sometimes they had to keep their name secret. You know who I'm talking about. They were the ones that lit all the fires. And there's a great quote, and I'm afraid I can't bring it back to mind. I'm going to get this. I mentioned this the other day. But the fact that it doesn't take a large fire to change things. It takes a lot of little fires. It takes a lot of little fires. A lot of people talk about, well, it's time to rise up. It's time to do this, time to do that. No, it's not. It's time for everybody, for more and more people, the average person, to get out there and talk about it more and bring this to the attention of their friends and their family and their associates, their co-workers and all that. To bring a reasonable position, to explain the difference between the sides in an election, to explain what's happening to our country, to explain how our rights are being trampled, to explain how our country is being destroyed. It takes a lot of people to do that. It takes you to do that. It takes me to do that. That's what I attempt to do on this channel. Maybe you should start a channel. Hey, if you do, let me know. I will subscribe. But until you do, please spread this one. That's one way you can help. Give it a thumbs up. Subscribe. Leave a comment. Share it. The only way to return our country to the way it was supposed to be is by the concerted efforts or the unconcerted efforts, just a lot of efforts of a lot of people working in that direction and talking about it and raising those questions and being able to inform people who may not be informed about the realities of the situation and the choices ahead. That makes sense? Okay. Think about that. Comment below. Let us know. Leave your comment, because you might be able to give other people ideas. If you've been successful at promoting our way, you have something to share with others. Okay. Do you belong to a group? Do you belong to a church group? Do you belong to a bowling team? Do you talk with people at work? Everywhere you go, to every group you belong to, every person you talk to, you have an opportunity to lay one more straw on the back of that camel that's keeping this country down. Maybe you can make a difference. If you don't do it, you're saying, essentially, well, I'm just happy with the way things are going. Yeah, we have a corrupt government that's destroying our country from within, and while inviting, through our weakness, challenges from outside. And I'm fine with that. We have a crumbling economy. I'm fine with that. We have an open border. I'm fine with that. We have we have a moral compass that's been broken, that was stomped on years ago, and I'm fine with that. But I know you're not. But realize, and you know, again, we'll go back to the old saying, all that's necessary for evil to triumph is for good men to do nothing, right? Don't do nothing. It's your right to do something. It's your right to take a stand. And in the face of what's happening to our country, it's your responsibility to do something. Because in my second book, and one of Jim Wyatt's speeches, I had him say, we must build the future we want our children to live in. Well, that's what we're doing now. And if we're not building it, we're allowing someone else to build the prison they're going to live in the future. Okay? Okay. Share this with people. Let me know what you think. Think about what you can do, and then do it. Because remember that America needs a reversion. Needs you to be a part of it. Hopefully we can do it peacefully, so, you know, right? Okay. And join us on Patreon if you'd like to. I put a lot of stuff up over there. It helps the channel. I appreciate it. You all have a good day, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.